What's up, Jaded brand? How are you today? Just sitting here reviewing a few of the cars that we recently built. This here is a 1970 Cuda. The car was, whoa, it was a basket case when I bought it. It was horrible. I bought the car for $500. I lucked up and bought it from a guy who was afraid of it for $500. I mean, it needed everything. I bought this car probably 6 months before I bought the Unusual Suspect, which is my 71 Hellcat Cuda. This car was supposed to be the Unusual Suspect. I had it at my painter's shop. He had actually had it at his shop. It sat for months and months and months because it needed so much. So in the interim of it sitting there, I ended up buying the Unusual Suspect from Gateway Classic Cars. It was a car that only had 18,000 miles on it. It was originally a Grand Coupe, which is the lower end 318 car. And I did the full restoration on that one. What I ended up doing is all the metal on my car was perfect. All the interior on the Unusual Suspect, should I say, was perfect. So all the interior, which was green, the car was also a green. I gave all the interior to the this car, and we just built it. This car here has now a 340. It has a front new K-member, front new suspension, new carpet, all the interior that was in my Unusual Suspect, which is now in there, nice vinyl. But the car ended up turning out to be a street machine, beautiful car, Willwood brakes. And I ended up selling the car to a guy in actually in California. The guy bought the car from me. Again, congratulations to the buyer. He bought the car from me, and he continued to have my painter change a few things, add a few things to the car. I was just going through memory lane. I was kind of going through a few of the pictures of that car, and you're coming up on here soon in the video that we have here. I want you to see what the Unusual Suspect was before it became what it is. I'll show you coming up here soon when I bought the Unusual Suspect, exactly what it actually looked like. It's going to be coming up here soon. It was the green car, not the green car at the beginning of the video. That was the car that I ended up selling, but it was the green car that's coming up here soon. It was a straight up average basic car, clean car. Like I said, 18,000 miles. Yeah, like I said, 18,000 miles. Here's the before. Nice, ordinary Cuda. And here's the after. We changed from ordinary to extraordinary. Big difference. Ordinary to extraordinary. That's what we do at Jaded Brand. Look at the difference. The Unusual Suspect here now is the Hellcat Cuda. Now next up is a 67 Eleanor Mustang that I did with a late model Coyote. That was the last picture was the after. This was the before. I bought this car here about 4 years ago, and we're going to show you the stages, the before, processing of it being at the next stage, and here's the level when it was actually primed after a lot of the body work was done, Eleanor parts and whatnot. And this is once the body was put back together, and then we were getting the mechanicals done, not painted yet. Again, the mechanicals were in the process being done. We put the rear IRS, front all new upgraded suspension, of course. And then here we go with the finished product right here. This is the finished product. I ended up selling this car to a guy locally in Royal Oak, Michigan. Beautiful car. The car was 95% complete when I sold it. All he had to do was install that custom center console that he did. All the interior I did. As you can see, it looks like my work. So this was another one of the ones I built. All these cars are built within the last 3.5, 4 years. A JADED. Now next up is the Corvette 64 split. I bought the car. It was another good car. I spent, I think, $35,000 for it. It had only 35,000 miles on it, but I always wanted to do a Corvette. I just wanted to do it my way. So this was a 64 originally. As you can see, we underwit. The first thing we did was change the quarters on the car because the quarters were too small. They weren't wide enough for us to fit the size wheels that we wanted to put in there. 345 19-inch in the rear. This car, we put a full SR3 chassis on the car, 2018 LT motor drivetrain, and then the interior we also put bits and pieces of 2019 interior. This is when we removed the old chassis. We sold it to the original owner of the car, and we ended up putting the C7 suspension at all four corners, ZR1 chassis. The car bodywork was done by Allen's Collision in Ohio, Bucharest, Ohio. He does all my cars. He paints all my cars. Awesome work. This is when we added the 63 split window in it. A lot of people asked, was this a real car? Was this a real car? Because it looked too perfect. It was a real car, as you can see here, the pictures of it. And now Vanguard Motor Cars has this car. We sold this car to them about a month ago. As you can see, this car was also at the a very good paint job. It was Manhattan gray metallic, the color off a 2018 Audi R8. Here's when the car was at the 2019 Detroit Autorama. It won first place in its class, as well as the Cuda Car of the Year magazine cover. This car was also in the Rochester Hills newspaper as well. A report was done on the car. This car is what kind of put JADED brand out there because it was an awesome build. This was me sometime last summer preparing myself for a car show, admiring the car. This was 2018 first place trophy that we won at a Rochester Hills show. This car here, over the course of a summer and a half, has won over 30 trophies. Here are a few pictures of the 64 split that we had grabbed sometime earlier part of this summer when we were initially thinking about selling her. Took a few pictures. A guy out of the country had wanted to see a few pictures of it. So this is when we first were playing with the idea of selling it. So I had listed these pictures. All that interior was full of all leather, as all of my cars are. All the interior utilized the original panels and just rewrapped in leather. So that's a good thing to do with the cars. I love the interior, smell of the leather, so I continue to go with that there. You know, those gauges I utilize also in the Unusual Suspect, the same type from Classic Instruments, nice bright red. That's a custom built leather luggage carrier that I custom built in the back of the car, rewrapped it in leather as well. There are those seat belts we spoke about for the Kevin Hart video. You gotta have the five point harness. That's a must. Leather, we embroidered that Stingray badge inside. All of my cars also, I installed the Red Bull holder. Headliner wrapped in leather. Beautiful with the stitching. Again, just a full frontal. Look at the steering wheel. Always incorporate the new style steering wheels as well. And here we go now in closing. Just some befores and some afters. Before Mustang, after Mustang. Just give you a bit of some before pics and after pics of just the last few vehicles that we built over the last, let's say, 2.5 years, because it's only been 2.5 years. We keep a nice rotation going, just before and afters. Before and afters. We focus on Restomods, over the top Restomods. You know, so you can see here is the, again, the Unusual Suspect before, and then there's the after. Before and the after, just get an idea of what we do. Here's the 64 split. Here's the before, of course, and then here goes the after. And then there we have next up. Next in line is our 68 Charger, the Demon build. This particular car is being broadcast and being brought to you over the YouTube channel. For you guys who don't know, we just started the YouTube channel July 7th. We're officially at 2 months today. So we've been lucky. You guys have been lucky enough. All the true JADED brand subscribers been lucky enough to get a chance to see this particular build as it unfolds day by day on the channel. This car will debut at the 2020 Detroit Autorama. It will be powered by the 2019 Demon drivetrain. So stay tuned for the builds of this car here. Stay tuned for all the latest and greatest of the interior as well as the powertrain. Thanks. Please subscribe and share.